I've taken some classes for summer back when I was teaching like the couple of yoga workshops. Done some more workshops with her.
Cool.
And then I've been kind of following summer for a while, I guess. So.
Okay, right on. Awesome. Wonder if I was ever there. I've been her intern and coworker for about 7 years now. So did a lot of handing out manuals at workshops and trainings and stuff in college.
Yeah, I don't remember you being there, but I mean, the one was in Chicago about 6 years ago, and one was in Denver about 3 or 4 years ago. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I haven't done the out-of-state ones. Just in Bellingham. Cool. Yeah. Nice. How's social distancing going for you too? Is your normal studio doing online stuff, or did you not belong to one before? Or?
My normal studio, some of them are doing them, and yeah, I mean it's a mix, you know. I mean, so yeah, some studios are doing them, some studios are just starting it online, so it's kind of a hodgepodge right now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how fast it's all happening.
Yeah, I mean, and like I just graduated from physical therapy school, so like, I just had to find a job in this chaos now.
I know, yeah. Pretty crazy. My little sister's supposed to be graduating here soon, and I don't even know if the ceremony's gonna happen. Probably not. So.
Yeah, or it's got postponed, and they might do it virtually at some point.
Yeah, so crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys are both Bellingham local, then?
We're both in Memphis, right? We live in Memphis, Tennessee.
In Tennessee?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Super cool. So what time is it for you?
Almost 2 p.m.
Okay. Nice. Awesome.
I can't see.
Hi, Melina. Welcome, welcome. How's it been? Can you hear me on there? Hey, Robbie. How's it going? I like your Seahawks swag. Oh, the audio is off. Gotta hit the mic.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I've been getting there. Getting better. I guess. Yeah. Still with the arm pain. It's been super intense lately, but let's see if this today.
Yeah, it's a lot of discussion and then a lot of just kind of playing around, doing some wiggle movements and body awareness kind of meditation stuff. So really light on the elbow for sure. And hey, Xander, he just popped up. And yeah, okay, good. There's your audio. I don't mind the audio being open, especially because it's easier for being able to respond when you want to. If you've got noise going on in the background, you're totally chill to mute it, but for those who want to keep it on, you're totally welcome to.
Cool. Sweet.
Cool, and then we got Shannon. Hey, Shannon. And Celine. So, gonna be slowly checking you guys in. Celine and then Shannon. So those coming in right now in the chat box, I hope you are able to see. I might just have to keep resending it with each new group. But in the participant chat box should be a link to a Google document. So let me know if you don't see that, and then I will resend if you guys can't see it. But you go to participants, and then you hit the chat box at the bottom of the participants box.
Oh, okay.
And go ahead and chat in the chat box and say no link if you don't see the link, and I'll send it. off and Shannon. There we go.
You just said hello. If it's working.
Sander and Stephanie and someone is iPhone. Who's iPhone?
Me? Is that okay? Or am I
No, it's not you. There's someone else.
Well, I have an iPhone too.
Me? Yeah. But the name actually is iPhone on the thing, so I wonder who that is. Okay, so maybe I'll grab attendance so I feel like we've got everyone in here. So looking in the chat thing, no link, thanks. Great, okay. Paste. Bam. Those who said no link and messaged in, can you see it now? It's a funny feature. I think what it is that if you weren't in the meeting beforehand, the thread that was there beforehand isn't gonna stay. So I'm just gonna keep resending it for folks. But for those that are in the meeting right now already, do please try and find that Google document. Could be on a phone, could be on a different computer. I know it's hard with the video if it's your only device. It's your only device. Don't worry, you can access it later. We'll send it in a follow-up email. But for those who do like to have the notes and the information that's going on as we're going through it, that Google document is there. So I'll just keep resending that link. Hi from Tom. Hey, Tom. Yeah, so we have about 31, 33 people for this meeting. So unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to see everyone's faces. I wish this thing would like kind of circulate through. But I think whenever you do turn on your audio and your video and talk and contribute, that then you will pop up.
Hello.
Hi. Who said it? Who was it?
Hi, Melina.
Elise?
Melina.
Hi, Melina.
Hi.
Hi, Elise. Hey, Jordan. Hi. Okay, this is great. Jordan, you're here and you're so helpful with the gallery view. Do you know how to make it so that it's more than just 9 boxes?
Jordan?
Do I not gonna say? Jordan signed in too. Her audio is still connecting. Do you know Elise?
I don't. No.
Oh, okay.
I was like, are you calling me Jordan?
No, there's Jordan in there too. But it's so funny with the hovering voices because there's faces. Switch active speakers. Okay. Okay, there she is talking. Now I see you in your room. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna check in again and send this link once more. Elise, I know you're here to attend, but if you are able to access that email group that Summer sent out the heads up to last night of everyone for the class, you could send the link that I've been sending in the chat box to them. That'd be great because it keeps disappearing for anyone who hasn't signed in yet, like new people.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool. All the funky things of these new systems. Okay. Elise, Melina, Vicky, Diana. Oh. Jordan.
I actually don't have access to Summer's email, but I just messaged her to do it if she can. Because everyone CC'd, so I can't reply to them.
In the messaging?
In the email.
In the email. Oh, you can't. Yeah, because she would have to do it because she probably had a BCC or something.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, like, not everyone has access to it, but I would recommend putting this in the the
Yeah,
PDF.
I was trying to,
as
but
well.
off of my computer, it wouldn't show me files. But let me try it off of here. I have too many electronics going on for my inability to know what I'm doing. Screen sharing link can view. And then I would say like move it to, what's the name of the folder?
PDFs, something PDFs, coaching PDFs.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, this is my work notebook. I don't want that.
I don't know. Add to my drive or add to,
Oh.
I don't know how to move the file. Let's see. Go into that, and then we see here. Move to. There we go. Studio testimonials. Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't have the folder. I have Flowshala folder. Huh. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep resending it in the chat for people. So those who have come in new, trying to figure out how to share this link for everyone, and I'm just gonna keep sending the hyperlink for the Google document. Totally public, so should be accessible to at least view. And just since it is a live document, remember that if you're gonna start typing in on it for your answers throughout class, to save a copy, make a copy so that it's yours private. You're not answering it for everyone. Okay, so we're at 12. We've got almost all people here. So I'm gonna just make sure I've got the attendance down. Bethany, not here yet. Taylor Cameron, are you here? Nope. Amy Rasser. No. Okay. Jessica Friedman. Yeah. Okay. Hannah Ordos, got you. Susanna is not in. Katie Lapoff. Ruthie. Okay. And Captain Gary. And I got those that were already in the last like 10 minutes or so. Isabella Zucker. So I'm kind of calling out the names that I don't think I have yet. And if you do have your audio on, let me know. I'm scrolling through the list as well. Bridge, Abigail Kennedy. No. And Chen Steffa. Not in here. Okay. All right, I think I got everyone. And Selena Mesa. Cool. Sweet. All right, so please, unless it is totally out of your comfort zone or your house is really, really noisy right now, please turn on your audio so that you are able to respond when you'd like to. So I'm gonna send one more time. Another person came in. Taylor Cameron, thank you for that heads up. So the Google document that I have for you guys has a lot of material, and a lot of it is just intended for you to have that in access for yourself. There's a lot of questions throughout the document, And the questions are things that you could use as your own journaling prompts. Maybe they're tools for you later on to use for sort of like a mantra and asking yourself a question to help you with becoming more aware and being more present in your body. So that's the whole intention with this class for psychosomatic holding. So psychosomatic is the relationship between the mind and the body. So a lot of times we could have like psychosomatic illness or strain would be like stress, where your mental state of being is affecting your physical state of being. Your energy, how you present yourself at work, how you present yourself with your loved ones, how you might respond to certain stimulus can change based off of the state of your mind affecting your body, and same thing vice versa. If our body is, you know, in a really, really slow, sluggish state or a really, really high sympathetic state, then that also in turn has an effect on our mind. So that connection is what we're exploring in class today. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up this topic and host a class that's free and that involves discussion and involves thinking and getting in our bodies in these ways is obviously because of everything going on in the world right now. It's really easy to feel foreign in our bodies, to feel some shock in the shift that's happening. And we all respond to change differently. So hopefully in this class, we get to kind of explore how am I responding to it right now, and how might I be able to consciously shift my response to the stressors going on. So I'd like to open up conversation and intro to just kind of say, hey, this is me, and this is why I was interested in this class and why you were interested in attending. And if you have an additional question or comment, feel free to share that, but just at least name and why y'all were interested in being here today.
Well, hi.
I'm Elise. Sorry.
Never mind. Go ahead, Elise.
I was interested in attending this class because I am fascinated with how our mind and our body interconnect, and I am just excited to soak up the knowledge that Adrienne has on the subject. She's obviously very introspective.
This is true. Cool. Dana?
Hi, my name's Nicole. Thanks for being here for us. I'm here because I have Tourette syndrome, and I am really, really curious to see how that's been living in my body for the last almost 30 years. I've been teaching yoga for about 2 years now, and doing a lot of just like mind-body work in that time. And already I've made a lot of discoveries about things that were kind of trapped and hidden in there, and just don't really have the know-how of how to move through it. So I'm very excited and very curious to learn what I can learn here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing, Nicole. Dana, you want to go next?
I'm Dana. I'm a massage yoga instructor. So I'm just always professionally interested in bodies and aspects of my knowledge.
Awesome. And she also did a little studying under summer too, back in the day.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Does somebody have some electronic going in the background? Because there's like a high pitch.
No, I'm getting the feedback too.
Huh?
I said I'm getting feedback too.
Yeah, usually if you have electronics that are around, that can change things. It can make the sound really warped in here, so I don't know.
Okay. So maybe if there's any other electronics, making sure they're on airplane, or shove them away if you can. I know that I have people with their documents trying to see the Google Doc, so. Okay, anyone else? Name and why you're interested in class.
Hey, I'm Kat. Oh, no, go ahead. I'm Kat. It's been a while since I've taken one of these classes, and so I just wanted to jump back in. I think it's a really good time, and I love the classes that you have that kind of tie in the physical and the emotional. They're really great, so I'm here.
Cool, thanks for coming.
Hi, I'm Melina, and this is my first psychosomatic. I can't even say the word right now, sorry.
It's a big one.
I'm just interested. I know body language speaks a lot, so I'm just curious about how the mind and body connect, because I think that I speak more with my body than my words. Use my body more than my words. So
Yeah.
let's see what I learned today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, body language is huge. Thanks, Melina. Welcome, Emma. I'm going to send in the chat, again, a link to the Google Doc that we're using in class. And Carrie messaged, that's a great effective way of sharing, and said she's interested in stress, how it presents itself in the body, and how we can manage that. So that's why she came to class today. Anyone else that would like to share? Name and reason for class.
I'm Susanna, and I like the way that how you put things into words, and so just being able to explain some of the things in a different way to my clients also be helpful. You know, I'm open to learning from your wealth of knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing that feedback. Appreciate it.
I'm Jessica, and I'm just excited. I've just always wanted to take one of your classes, so I'm excited to be able to do that.
Hey, right on. Cool. Anyone else? Name and reason for being here. You're welcome as well to just share it in the chat if you'd rather do that. But I'd like to give this a couple more minutes for folks to say hello, make it feel more like an in-person room.
I'll go. My name's Emma, and I am in class today to just gain more knowledge about this topic. And I've been holding a lot of stress and tension in my neck and shoulder region, so working through that and looking for ways to resolve that.
Awesome. Okay. So if no one else would like to contribute, I'll continue on. So for those,
Yeah. One more.
Please.
So I found you through a photographer, Anthony Ponce de Leon. And he had a really beautiful caption about you, like you as an inspiration, I guess. And then I saw you were doing a free class, and I've been practicing movement through dance for the past, I don't know, my whole life, but my past year. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. So to give an intro on who I am, because I realize there's a lot of folks in here who haven't yet taken class with me. I am a structural integrator. So one of the things that I do is massage therapy that's kind of mixed with physical therapy, in that I do muscle testing, range of motion testing, and re-education for my clients. So one of the things that I do in that work, aside from movement on the table, is also dialogue work and conversing with the client and getting them to be present with pieces in their body that are contributing to their holding and compensation patterns. So we're kind of exploring some of those activities and themes that I work with my clients in one-on-one. And so they kind of deal with themes from, you know, what does it mean to stand on your own 2 feet, and phrases like holding back and how that connects to your posture. Are you someone who digs in your toes or digs in your heels? Are you really proud and open in your chest? And getting your mind and body on the same page with what it means to hold that and be aware of your feeling in that space. So that's some of what we're exploring today. And one of the things with that, so one of the quotes that I have right up at the top of the document is that there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. So it takes time to figure things out. The body, the mind is incredibly intricate. There's a lot of details, right? And a lot of pieces. And so giving yourself the grace and the time to slow down so that you can observe those pieces and observe the subtleties in your body is a big piece in creating a sustainable and higher quality way of exploring and being in your body, from being at work and your personal relationships to your exercise to how you sleep, and to trauma and to processing trauma and any therapeutic sessions that you go to. When you're able to be with your body and you can observe a little bit more, that's where you get to be in that space between a stimulus and your response to a stimulus. So thinking about the nervous system, we have our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. So does anyone have some information on that wants to share about it, whether you're reading from the document or not? Rest and digest versus fight or flight. Yeah? So rest and digest would be the sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system, your restore, right? And then the fight or flight would be your sympathetic nervous system. So some of the things that I listed on there is sympathetic dominance and parasympathetic dominance. So what we're gonna do is just a quick little breath exercise to be able to close our eyes and check in with ourselves instead of listening to me and the computer screen. And I'd like you to just kind of breathe and observe and be open to what comes to you with the question of, which dominance am I? There's a lot of information out in the world that says that we only live in fight or flight, but there are a lot of people who also might have a parasympathetic dominance issue in some of their health issues, their emotional stuff. And so it might not just be that all of us are running 100% crazy. So I want you to kind of give yourself a little bit of time to sense in and see what comes to you as to which side of the two do you feel like you might live in a little bit more as you observe your breath. So just finding a comfortable seat. You can crisscross the legs or kneel, whatever's best for you. And then go ahead and close the eyes, or at least soften your gaze so that your gaze is down to the ground and a little bit blurred. And go ahead and take 3 mindful breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, observing and trying to just sense, not dig for, not come up with the perfect answer, just feel for what do you relate to, the sympathetic or the rest and digest parasympathetic. And again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. So I'm curious, and for those who are just coming into the room, please have audio off if you know there are sounds going on in your room. If you're in a quiet space, feel free to keep it on. So it's just a little bit of time, just a little bit of a taste, but did anyone get a sense of, yeah, definitely I'm fight or flight, I'm go-go. I know that for a fact. Or I'm kind of like the sloth and I live more in parasympathetic. Yeah. Unsure.
I'm unsure too.
Okay. Cool.
Parasympathetic.
Parasympathetic. All right, so one indicator could be for you. So if you look at the list of things in the sympathetic dominance, stuck in fight or flight, it can lead to some troubles with compulsion, So if you have a hard time resisting compulsion, addiction, any issues with addiction or insomnia, isolation, choosing to be alone when maybe you might have a feeling that you actually do want to be around other people. Chronic fatigue, so you're always sleepy. You might have trouble with focus, anger, or anxiety. Self-doubt, so a lack of confidence, and maybe trouble with trusting other people or trusting situations. So I've gotten a couple of comments of, can everyone please mute their microphone so that we can't hear any feedback that's able to be heard. So if everyone could mute, and just remember to unmute whenever you contribute. Okay. So that's on the sympathetic side of things. And then on the parasympathetic, rest and digest, as Nicole had said earlier, and also higher functions of the brain, so our spatial awareness. So if you've ever noticed yourself being more fumbly with things or not actually accounting properly in some of your movement mechanics, that might be an indication that you might be living a little bit more in your parasympathetic, that you're actually there and being present between stimulus and response to stimulus, so you can calculate a little bit more appropriately in your spatial awareness is what that means. And the part of your parasympathetic system is relating to your cerebral cortex. So it's the outer part of your brain. I don't have a totally anatomical picture of it, but I did a painting one time in a somatics class of mine, so it's the outer layer of your brain instead of the inside layer of your brain. Okay, so the more recently developed, not the more primal and to the core developed part of our brain, which is the fight or flight response, right? And and then other things that you might experience are increased focus, ease, joy, ability to trust, generosity, problem-solving skills, flexibility, actual physical flexibility, and being more in your parasympathetic, because when we're in our sympathetic system, we inhale and we tighten. So literally our fascial weave will actually get ready and be on guard and hold rigidity so that we're able to defend out and not take things in, right? And also able to move fast and be swift and speedy, right? And so then on the counter side, parasympathetic would be softening and loosening, which is required in some of your flexibility poses. So I'd like to encourage you guys, whether it's just typing down right now for yourself or making a note to yourself, talking out loud with your thing on mute, a couple of ways, one or two, that you are identify as being sympathetic and that you identify as being parasympathetic, because we got them on both, right? And we don't want to be just living in one or the other by any means. It's all about balance between the two. So try and come up with one or two ways that you can either think of it in your head, if that's easier for you, you're a mental person, you want to write it down on the document, one or two times, or two things for each of those sympathetic and parasympathetic that you identify yourself as living in. Okay? And so one of the things too that this class is intended to do is get some of our more sympathetic folks to be in parasympathetic, sitting down, listening, and having all this talking instead of moving our bodies is a hard thing on our systems that they're used to go, go, go. Yeah. So observing that in yourself as well, if that ever comes up throughout class. So hopefully you've been able to write one or two of those down, right? And just kind of keeping those guys in mind. And then what I'd like to do is get us standing up. So make sure that you have space to wiggle your arms, wiggle your legs, all that good stuff. And we're gonna do just a bit of movement and breathing and thinking about the inhale as your sympathetic nervous system, your tightening, okay, and your fight or flight, and then your exhale as your softening, your flexibility, your restorative and wiggly loosey-goosey. Okay, so just having that intention in yourself as we're going through these moves. So go ahead and stand up. Awesome. All right, so as I extend my wrists, that means I'm lifting up my fingers and I'm drawing the backs of my hands up towards my forearms, yeah? So I'm creating this nice flat angle, and I'm thinking big inhale, extend, and open up, create a little heart opening in your spine, and then exhale and relax. Good. And then again, inhale, extend, and flex and tone as many muscles in your body as you possibly can on that inhale, and then exhale and release. And again, inhale, extend through the wrists, lift them up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze through the arms, through the legs, through the bellies, lifting up the toes, and exhale and relax. Good. And again, inhale, lift up. So some of us might already be experiencing some cramping or some holding. What I want you to notice and be extra aware of is as you let go and exhale here, relax, what lets go better than something else? Like maybe you notice for like myself, this arm kind of wiggles a lot on my relax, but this one stays pretty heavy and still. It's not really loosey-goosey. So again, inhale, extend, create tons of tone, tighten your belly, open your heart, create extension through your back, and then exhale and release. Good, and last time, inhale, extend, activation all the way through the toes, the thighs, the back, through your face, and then release. Good. All right, so spread the feet nice and wide. And then we're gonna start to rotate, so I'm just swinging my arms, and I can swing my arms and be more in an exhale state, right? So I'm kind of loosey-goosey, I'm hanging out, I'm soft, I'm grounded into my feet. And then start to engage a little extension in that upright posture and almost like lifting out of your toes, just getting upright and like you're going to launch and you're going to go somewhere. Okay. And then again, ground down, slow it down, shift the energy down to parasympathetic. And then again, crank it up, bring it up, sympathetic, nice and active, really alive, lifting out of the toes. And then ground the heels down, shift it back, parasympathetic. Nice. All right, so we're bringing our attention to our feet, okay? So may need to actually adjust this guy for you guys so you can see me and my feet a little bit better. And let's see, put this guy here. All right, is that okay? Is that better? Nope. Let's see. So with my feet, what I'm doing is I'm shifting my weight forward into my toes as much as I can. And what goes along with that is my posture. So I'm thinking more erect, I'm thinking the sympathetic nervous system, right, and taking flight. And then I'm gonna drop back into my heels and fall back. And then inhale, lift up, out of the toes, shifting your weight forward. You might even feel like you're going to fall forward. And then drop into the heels, relax the back, fall down. Okay. Inhale again, extend, finding that lift out of the toes. And then exhale and drop it down into the heels. Good, one more time. Forward into the toes, taking lift off. And then exhale and relax. Okay. Now, go ahead and close your eyes, and I want you to start to find a medium. So there's a little bit, maybe 20% of that sympathetic in your posture of lifting out forward into the toes, but there's still a bit of grounding in the heels and staying at the floor. And if you need, you can make those shifts of more in the sympathetic and then back into the parasympathetic so you get a better sense of where is my middle? Where is that place? What do I need to do? What shifts do I need to make? What adjustments to be more in the center in my posture? And then go ahead and shift your weight into your left hip. So your right foot can come out. So it's kind of like a little sassy hip. Imagine maybe for parents having a baby at your hip, right? and then you'll switch sides and stack over to the other. So I want you to bring your awareness to your legs, to your feet, to your hips, and to your energetic of which one feels a little bit more sympathetic and which one feels a little bit more parasympathetic. Okay. So there's one where we might feel more grounded down and like in the background. And then there's one where we might feel more proud and sassy and upright, right? So just kind of sensing in for, is there kind of a shift between the two, or is it the same? Kind of checking in with that, okay? Good. And then bring your feet together. And with your hands at your hips, you can just start to shift your weight off to the right and then off to the left. So you're shifting back and forth. And maybe you need to close your eyes, which could be a balance challenge, but try and sense for, if you don't have a mirror, which way you go downhill. Like, do you feel like you ground down into the foot and you're being pulled to the ground versus going uphill, right? So kind of sensing into that. And a lot of these shifts and the shift work, the in and out that I do, is so that your brain, your neural pathways can start to kind of calibrate with your body and knowing and developing your proprioception of where your body is in space. Okay. Nice. And then relax, come back to neutral. Okay. Cool. All right, so now go ahead and find a tabletop position. So I'm in my tabletop. And when I'm here, what I'm going to do is, again, sympathetic and parasympathetic in my body. So I'm going to push into the ground. My right foot extends back, my toes are curled under, and then I'm kicking down into the ground and into my foot. Now I'm really activating through the rest of my body as well, digging through my fingertips, packing through my shoulders, engaging my core, knitting my ribs together, and then I can just relax the leg and passively have it. Good. And then again, activate, really press, drill through the bottom of the foot. The ribs are knitting together, the arms are pushing in the floor, and they're kind of resisting my toes from being able to push my body forward. So I stay nice and still, and then relax and just let the leg be back there. Good. One more time, kick, kick, kick into the floor, stretching the toes under, really drilling through the arms, gripping through the fingertips, and then exhale and relax. Good. And then we'll switch sides, other toes, curl under. And again, pushing into the ground, and you're activating strong through your core. You're pushing the floor away, knitting the ribs together, hollowing the belly back, and driving through that leg, and then soften. Right? And then two more times, harden, 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 stiffen the ribs together, press through the arms, activate the shoulders, the leg is kicking into the ground, and then soften. And then again, create that activation, that tone all the way through the fingertips, down through the bottom of the foot, and relax. Okay. And then we're gonna be a little loosey-goosey and fun with it. So right leg again, kicks back behind you. And then I want you to shake the shit out of it. Let your face relax, kick your legs, your whole body shaking, kick even faster, and make some noise, and then relax. And then do the same thing, kick the other leg back and kick like crazy. So I'm bending and extending my knee and just shake, shake, shaking my leg and wiggling through my body, letting myself smile, and then relax. Okay. All right, so now audio can turn back on if we would like. So I'd like to hear just a little feedback, because again, there's a lot of things and ways that I'm gonna ask you guys to be in your body and think about things. So I wanna give increments throughout the class for you to check in and give some feedback or ask questions.
I found that when I kicked in with my left toes, that was really hard. It felt like there was less pressure in the foot than in the right side.
Okay, cool. So some power was leaking somewhere on that left side, so you weren't feeling as grounded through the foot. Yeah. Cool. And then we're getting some comments. So right and left legs were totally different. Notice that one side feels tight and one side feels loose. Great. So what's happening so far, feedback-wise, is what I was hoping for, of an actual awareness, sensibility between the two sides, right? So if we think about our body mind, there are a lot of different aspects in our being. There's the masculine side of ourselves, the feminine side of ourselves. There's the strong side, the soft side, right? And we'll always find those physical imbalances in our bodies. And then when you find those with this document, right, and this exercise that we're doing, I'd like to encourage you to note that side so that in the future, as you're encountering yourself and observing yourself being rigid, being tight, feeling restricted in certain things, that you can then bring your awareness to that part of your body, the side that is tight, the side that is rigid, and be present with it, meet it there in that moment when you're feeling that rigidity, restriction, suffocation, whatever the feeling is of not being soft, right? Not having enough. And then same thing for the other side. Maybe you might feel you have too much looseness, you have some instability that you're realizing in a situation, emotional, conversational with someone else, responding to stress. And then you can go to that place in your body and kind of check in with it. And the thing is to meet it there. It's not to change it. It's not to balance it out and make it like the other leg. The key is getting aware and going to it, being at that place, right? Where you're experiencing things and becoming aware of that connection between your body and your mind with them. So we're going to think about that with the legs, okay? So we're going to go through a little sun flow, move our bodies a little bit more. And I'd like you to just super be in the legs and thinking about the legs and the energetics that you feel as we're doing the different things, okay? So you can say it in your own head. I'm on my right leg. This is what I'm feeling. You can say it out loud, whatever. But legs, 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 be in those guys, okay? All right, so come to your top of your mat, wherever that is. Okay. And go ahead and close your eyes in standing mountain. So in your standing mountain, with your eyes closed, I'd like you to bring your attention to your feet. And start to ask yourself, where do you bear your weight? Is your weight back in the heels? Is it the outside edges, the inside edges? Do you avoid putting weight in one of your toes? Do you feel like all of the arches are suspended, i.e. none of them are flat? Or do you notice a collapse in any of them? And then try to, without creating much movement in your body, think about sympathetic nervous system. So think about lifting and being erect, taking flight out of your feet, kind of floating out of your feet. And then think about parasympathetic and grounding and melting down into your feet. Okay. And again, a little lifting, a little suspending in those feet, sympathetic. And then grounding and melting down into the feet. With your next inhale, reach the arms up as you think of that same lift through the base of the feet. And then exhale, ground the feet down, forward fold, hands can come through prayer. And in your forward fold, shake your head out, yes and no. And inhale, halfway lift. Hands can be to the shins, a nice straight back. So think about packing the shoulder blades down, keeping the gaze to the toes. And then exhale and release the hands, fingers nice and wide, and step your feet back into your downward facing dog. Now in your down dog, pedal out, wiggle around, and do any little moves that are comfortable for you whenever you visit your down dog. Okay. And check in with your hands. What are your hands doing all the way through the shoulders? Okay. And then inhale, lift your right leg back behind you. Kick it up. And then you can start to turn the inner thigh in and up toward the ceiling, turning the toes in. So you're creating internal rotation through the leg, and then external rotation through the leg, turn the toes out. And then again, internal rotation and external rotation. And again, observing how you feel on the side. You feel super capable and badass, you got all this range, awesome, or do you feel a little fumbly? And then you can relax the foot down and pedal it out and switch sides, do the same thing for the other leg. So left leg kicks up, started with that right side. And then doing your rotations, turning the toes in, the inner thigh in and activating, helping to draw the thigh up. And then same thing on the outside, outer thigh, lifting up, turning the toes out. Good. Nice, and then relax the foot back down. You can pedal the feet back out. Good, and then when you're ready for it, walking the feet up to meet the hands. Find your halfway lift up at the top. And exhale and forward fold. In your forward fold, tuck your chin a ton and try and work your forehead toward your shins. And then bend the knees, hinging up the hips so the low back has some good support. Then you can bring the elbows to the knees if you'd like. Reach the arms forward, rise, and come on up. And you can give yourself a couple little wiggles, shimmy in the shoulders, shake out the shoulders at the top, all that good stuff. All right, so again, attention is still in our feet, still in our legs, being aware of that space. And then next thing that I'd like you to do is hold still. And then especially if your mic is off or your mic is on, make sure it's off because we're about to hear some noise. So what you're gonna do is you're going to stop. And you're gonna stop, stop, stop between your feet, okay? And then occasionally then you're gonna find a stop and you're gonna be still. And kind of observe the feeling through your legs, through your spine, through your feet. And then again, come back to it and stop. And stop, and stop. See if you smile, maybe get angry, who knows what's gonna come up, but just kind of observe it, what happens for you. And then you'll stop. You'll come to a still. Good, and one more time, go ahead, stomp it out, maybe get your arms involved. Stomp louder. And then release. And find stillness. And again, bring your attention to your feet and ask yourself, where is the weight in my feet? And if I play with shifting my weight forward and back in the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, right? Can I feel my medium? Can I get there, calibrate there, maybe a little bit faster than I did the first time? Okay. Nice. All right, so last thing we're gonna do, and then we're gonna come back to discussion and checking in, is I want you guys to walk around your house. So you can walk away from your screen, walk up some stairs, whatever, don't take longer than 3 minutes. And what I'd like you to do is play with those two different energetics of walking very swiftly forward and on your toes, and you've got somewhere to be, fight or flight, right? And then walking more parasympathetic and slow and maybe keeping the heart back and feeling those different energetics as you do it, okay? No, it can seem silly, but just totally wear it and put it on, extra dramatic for each of the two so that you can really feel the contrast, okay? And if you got your partner there with you, you get to laugh at them as you follow them. Okay. Maybe you go to the bathroom, maybe you get a little sip of water, whatever you gotta do. Hello, hello. You're doing your walking. Go do your other walking. Okay. So when you guys come back, please do me a favor and check out the questions that are underneath the legs category on your document. My iPad kind of hit some buttons on the top, so there's a bunch of letters at the top of it, but ignore that. So on, should be page 2, there's a legs section, and there are some questions. Sorry about putting my chest up in the video. Look at all this. All right, so again, not all these questions have to be answered now. I more so expect from folks that you hear these things and you go, what the fuck is she talking about? And how is this connected? Because then that means it's a learning opportunity to figure out something new and maybe pave a new pathway in your body. But for those who it does maybe kind of relate, looking at those questions, and if anything does come up for you answer-wise, maybe sharing that. So there's the question of, can you think of any instances in your life that you've dug in your heels physically and an activity that you had to do, tug of war, whatever, to emotionally with other people standing your ground, potentially with an employer, with a sibling, whatever. So any thoughts or reflections come up for you guys with these questions and being in your feet thus far?
Hey, Adrienne?
Yes.
So we were just talking, this is Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
I was wondering if, do we really switch from parasympathetic to sympathetic system that quickly? From just switching from on your toes to, you know, being flat feet like that?
It depends. If your system is trained enough to, you're that present with and connected with it all the way, you might. But also there's on the flip side of, no matter how much work we do, even when we're sleeping, right, and unconscious, we could still be in the sympathetic to a certain extent. So if you had eaten, that's why they say, like, don't eat before bed within a couple of hours, because your digestive system has to work to process that food through, which is a sympathetic thing, right? So in some ways, no, we're not necessarily switching entirely between the two, but it's the mind part, the energetic part of it, to try and get the nervous system and the head kind of calibrating to be in sync with each other in that way. Because a lot of times our head can be super fight or flight and super concerned, but our body's not quite there and at the same pace, or our breath's not quite there and at the same pace, and the same thing vice versa. I could be moving or breathing really slow, which is a parasympathetic natured thing, right? And then I could be moving my body really fast at the same time. So there's some runners, some professional athletes even, who will do a marathon in parasympathetic, like hook them up to machines, check out their heart rate. They're by all means parasympathetic, even though it seems like a crazy heart rate, high cardio thing. So there's ifs, ands, and buts to it. So I wouldn't say yes, that you can just go on your toes and immediately switch it like a switch, right? If it was, I think we'd have a lot less stress if we could do that all the way.
Okay, so you're talking about using this as more of a training to start to practice shifting.
Yes, to start to practice shifting your energetic and how you're doing something so that you can help with being able to shift it more so to one or the other. And be able to just observe and identify, oh, crap, I do everything on my toes. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but there are some very serious toe walkers out there who are just tiptoeing all the time, everywhere they go, you know? And if with my clients, working with them one-on-one, then you get them to be in a space they've never been in before, that can be a huge nervous system shift. Because their normal is used to being up high and in flight, right? And then you get them grounded and it's like, whoa, it's a totally different gear. So it's just kind of a gearing process, I guess to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other reflections? Did anyone not feel an energetic shift when you moved your body? Did you still feel the same energetic each time you did different things?
The cat ran away when I was walking around in sympathetic nervous system, but did not run away when I was flat-footed.
That's awesome. That's really cool, actually, because animals know energetics. I think it was Melina who was talking about body language. They know it, right? The conscious brain isn't necessarily a thing that's clouding them and making them have to weigh things out. They feel it, right? And just like you can feel if you're walking down the street in a dark and scary area and there's some energetics and stuff going on that you know is not okay, you will get that sense, right? And it's not like there's information or a sign out telling you to be concerned. You feel it, you sense it, what's coming at you. And animals totally do that. So I love that your animal is there and you're able to feel that and observe that. I have the same thing with one of my anxiety dogs and just kind of approaching her with, aggression does not work. But meeting her where she's at and coming at it with parasympathetic does work to help shift her there. Yeah, so that's super cool. All right, any last comment?
I will. I found that I couldn't really walk on my toes very well. I found that was really challenging. And so I think that oftentimes I'm in more of a parasympathetic gait and maybe a sympathetic nervous system because because it can be harder to push myself to like go fast or move into that zone.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Totally. Yeah. And some of that could be, the parasympathetic part. And I love the term that you gave it of a parasympathetic gait. And then it could also be structural, right? It could be that Elise's ankles range of motion doesn't let her energetic shift from her feet into the sympathetic, even though maybe she can in her arms, right? So it could be the flip side of it's not telling us about our energetic so much, but it could be telling us about our ankles or what range of motion we have in our body. So just throwing that out there they're thinking about this all flips both ways and just never think once that something could not be totally or could not be related at all in any way possible because it is so interconnected. Cool. All right. So next bit is arms. We're going to bring our attention to the arms, and I'm unsure about how music will go. So you might just kind of hang with me with seeing me if you can't hear me for a little bit, because the music kind of helps with bringing people up and more wiggly and fun. So we're going to play with some movements of our arms, getting into the arm section of some themes around giving and receiving and pushing away, and then holding for ourselves and kind of just hugging ourselves. All right, so find a place to stand where you got some space for your arms to wiggle around. And then we'll play a little music, just a cheerful little one. So hopefully mostly what you can hear is the music, and then you're just gonna kind of mimic me with my arms. And you might feel silly, you might feel goofy, and your ego might come in, but let it go, play with it. Okay? So my arms are just by my sides, my hips are moving, and then my arms are to swing. And then bring your arms out and start to work with pulling and pushing. So my palms are facing up, and I'm even kind of integrating my fingers and pulling. And then push it away, and observe that energetic of how you feel as you're pushing away versus pulling in. So you can switch back and forth with pulling and pushing. And then walk the arms side by side. And just let them hang. And then push swinging by your side. And then you start to swing. And then back to center. And then there we go. Cool. Okay, so a little reflection on that. I caught some people, maybe it was the noise, maybe it was just wiggling into it, but I saw some just staying in the yummy wiggles. So how did that feel for you guys, shifting between going from a wiggly open space to pushing to pulling in? Did you notice any shifts in yourself with that?
I really liked the pulling and I hated the pushing. Like, it just feels so unnatural to me.
Pushing feels natural, but pulling
Opposite.
Opposite, yeah. Mm-hmm. So for you, Karin, what you could do too is make a mental note of that or write it down, whatever you want. But noticing, okay, so I have an ease in one and not so much in the other. And then you can reflect on, okay, well, so are there any ways recently, last couple of days, could be in the history of you, but usually it's easier to just choose a couple of days, the most recent stuff going on for us. Are there ways that I'm struggling to push away, to keep things at arm's length, to keep that boundary of mine and hold that? Or, ways that I'm needing to do that more, or that I'm doing that too much, that kind of thinking around it. And are there ways that I'm struggling to receive things? I'm sure right now at this time that there's some ways that we may or may not be receiving the help that we're needing. So it could be that it's offered to us and we have a really hard time accepting help. And then it could be that it's not offered to us and we're needing to receive. So if it's not something that you can get outside of your body receiving, then okay, well, maybe I can kind of fill in some of that with doing more receiving in my movement and doing more receiving in my meditation and receiving and being open to taking in what you need. And all of this is, pretty general, but yeah, Dana?
I found as I was pushing with my arms, even though I was pushing away, my entire body was still going with it. So moving forward as I was pushing. So
yeah,
kind of interesting.
So there's a connectivity between your arms and your back that you may not be feeling as much of the differentiation between the arm and the back is what might be happening. So you could play with some more of the shoulder mobility drills that I know you know, and then see if then when you go back to pushing that you feel a little bit of a difference in that, some separation between the two. Could be a thing to try.
Nice.
Oh.
For me, I felt pushing was easier, or I felt more comfortable, but also I think pulling in was like a little bit painful for my arm issue. But when we came to standing still, like my toes would just keep moving. So I don't know anything. They were just like wiggle, like I was waiting to like start moving again. I don't know. So be patient. I always have to do something, like I can't sit still or for too long unless
yeah, our toes are totally dead giveaways in a lot of ways of something resisting what we're controlling, right? Like the ego's like, I got a plan up here at the head and the body, what you're presenting to the world, and then the toes are like, we still have another agenda. So whenever you can get those two connected, and whether it's giving permission to the top to wiggle too, who cares? Even though she said stay still, keep wiggling, do what you want, but be conscious of it. Or go, okay, toes, nope, we're gonna rein it in and be with the body, right?
All right.
Cool. You guys are giving such good feedback. Anyone else with more? See some arms crawling. So some comments on emotions coming up, which is definitely true. Sometimes I will give that heads up, guys, that there are, and especially women in the room, there are a lot of times that we do movements or we touch or we get tactile with places in our body that can be a trigger place for you of trauma. Right, so anyone, it's not just women, but anyone who's ever been physically abused or touched in a way that felt uncomfortable, just wasn't right. If you stimulate that space while you're letting this expression happen and anything come up, that's the intention that we're all holding in the space, know that that can happen. Emotions can come up and let them happen. Don't try not to let shame come in or a critic come in of this shouldn't be happening and why is this happening? This is weird. Just meet it where it's at. Just like, you know, think about like a scared dog and being there for it and calming it down instead of scaring it further or shoving it away. Right? So just giving that heads up, because there are definitely a lot of emotional things that can come up with this. Okay. Cool. So any other last reflections or comments before we move on to the next stuff? Sorry again for the view here. No? Okay, cool. So I'm going to host a couple more of these classes. And we'll be getting into further content that is in the document. I have some other things in there. There's one, I call it the drama triangle. A lot of this content comes from my 4-year training with the Institute of Structural Medicine. And again, that's where I do this mind-body work with people on the table. So if you guys are interested in this at all, feel free to email, reach out via Flowshala. I'll be practicing again in May, hopefully, pending the coronavirus stuff going on. And so I'll be teaching more of these classes free, and then they'll end up probably being a longer, extensive workshop that I can do if people show interest through them. But I want you guys to have this document, take it as just something to be curious about, to respond to, use as journal prompts, because shit's really confusing right now, right? And there's a lot of unknowns, and there's a lot less stimulus that we're used to having in our lives that help distract us from our own responses. So I noticed for myself in this time that, for example, I'm a huge traveler with my training that I've done the last 4 years. And it's the first time I've spent more than 8 days in one city in 4 years. And that's just a huge shift energetically for me, not feeling like there's somewhere to go. And I also haven't had people to work with, no one to touch. My job is to be tactile and to be there with people and their bodies and their energetics. And I haven't had that space, so I've had a lot of time to be with my own body and my own energetics. And there's things I wasn't totally aware of at the moment because I was so go-go with all of my schedule. So hopefully these questions in this document can be things that are helpful for you and being able to sort of explore that for yourself. Whenever you feel, okay, crap, I'm totally sympathetic dominant right now, and you become aware of that space of becoming aware of it, then again, just like I said earlier with the analogy, meet yourself where you're at. And don't think about criticizing it. Don't have the objective of changing it. Because once you're there, that's when you're able to shift, right? Because you become aware of where you are in the spectrum, sympathetic, parasympathetic, and then you know, and you have some of these tools now in your body for pushing things away, pulling things in, for being more forward in your feet and walking that way in your house, or to being back in your heels and grounding in your feet. And hopefully, even if you're not understanding necessarily verbally the things going on for you, you can make some shifts happen in your body using these body tools. Cool. So any last questions that you guys have, please ask them. We did record this on iCloud, so as goofy as it is, it's gonna be up on YouTube, I think, and shared again on the Facebook page for y'all. And that document you guys have, I'll erase the little typos that were on there. And if you don't wanna ask a question verbally, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll respond to it later on.
I had a question about, Elizabeth here, about the arm movements. I felt a soreness in my ribs. Is that anything to do with emotionally, or is that just I'm just sore in my ribs?
Yeah, so pretty much most of the muscles at your shoulder are going to connect to your rib cage, to your spine, or to your neck. So the movement is totally going to involve pulling and tugging on your ribs. One is serratus, which covers all of your ribs, and then it connects under your scapula. So as you move your scapula, that's a big mover of your rib cage. So if you have any rolling equipment or anything, you might consider actually rolling out the ribs and rolling out some of the armpits while you do movements in your arms. So that'll help kind of tease those muscles apart, help loosen them up a little bit if that's what's going on. And otherwise, you can play around with in your awareness of moving. I didn't give you guys a specific thing, you were just kind of mimicking. So you could have been leading through your hand, like my brain's awareness is in my hand, versus me leading through my core and my hand being the follow through, right? Yeah. So you can play with, I'm doing it through my elbow, I'm doing it through my fingers, I'm doing it through my rib cage, and see if that changes the sensation for you to make it a little bit more comfortable and safe feeling. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, any last questions? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. Oh, I saw someone walking up. You can still ask the question. I'm all about talking.
Yeah, I had it. When are the next two that you're offering? What are the dates and times?
So they'll be the same time, Monday at 12,
Okay.
12 to 1 p.m. And we'll probably just build on to this same document for the materials.
So this week, next week, and then the week after?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And feel free on that document, I don't mind it being a live thing. I love everything staying in one spot. So instead of putting it in the body of the document, if you have questions you want me to see or requests for other topics, things you want to know about, typing that into the bottom of the document with another color would be great. Okay. Cool. Hey, Katie, finally saw your face pop up. Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys for coming. I was unsure how many people would be interested in a more conversation-based emotional thinking class, and I'm stoked to see how many people were in fact interested. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Have an awesome Monday. Oh, cool. Everyone's face is popping up. Megan. Bye. Bye. See you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Bye, Stephanie and Eric, and Jess and Dana, and Zoe and Shannon and Hannah and Tom and Taylor and Robbie.
Bye, Adrienne. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Tom. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Chats.
down.